kind of got to do some more research. And then, you know what? Here's true leadership in action. I didn't wait to join another team. I created my own. I called headquarters back and said, so how does one start in Orlando? And in fact, it was met with silence. And they're like, you've only been in one meeting. I said, how does one start a team in Orlando? And divine discernment. I've been through a lot of networking events. I knew who was passionate about children's causes. And before I even dropped the name branding of UNICEF, I already knew they've done the work previously in different organizations. So I formed this powerful team of different influencers of different specialty, and then hence the 14th Congressional Action Team in the United States was born. And there was nothing more moving than when you truly realize that we were, we were only 7 months old when they had their annual summit. And I said, okay, let's fly to DC. Let's figure what this is all about. As we were walking up the steps of Capitol Hill, I looked at, my team members that was able to fly in with me, and I said, sons and daughters of immigrants, you're here to represent nations. You're here to represent countries. Do not hold back from speaking from your heart, and the importance of maintaining this funding, because part of the reasons why we were there was, with changes in presidential administration, was a potential budget cut of global aid by 40%. So that would have been the $132.5 million was on the line, or potentially, for UNICEF, which translated to millions of children's lives. And yet, in speaking, so I am now finding myself in the office of Senator Bill Nelson, all this political people, and I'm going, if my parents were still alive,
I know.
My father would be doing cartwheels going, look at my daughter, right? But at the same time going, what is she doing there? Because I stay away from politics as much as I can. But here I was, and you know what? Here's the connectivity. Would I not have gone through what we went through when we were kids, when we left the country? Not to the severity of what others are going through. I would not have understood how it felt like to be a refugee. Even if we came to this country 100% legally and had the blessing of staying with relatives, I still slept on the floor. We still started with nothing. But now, because I have the history to tell a true life story, to get in front of decision makers for the country and the world, and saying, this is what happens if you're going to pull this. This is the story that I went through. Here's what I represent. There was no sweeter words than seeing an official memo from UNICEF headquarters saying, we won. And we cried. Wow. Because we realized what that meant. That, again, it goes back to, it has nothing to do with us, but everything for them.
That's right.
UNICEF led to me into the media space of writing articles about breakdowns to breakthroughs because of my experience, which then led to me interviewing global influencers that became the catalyst, or kind of like the trampoline to the next step, which is the television space. And then writing about my journey in this book called Women Who Influence as a contributing author. But God didn't stop there. He took that book. It became an international best-selling book overnight, and then landed in best-selling category in 14 different categories. And then it landed in the Library of Congress. So here I was sitting and bawling in my driveway because it was the first, even though I've written articles and won awards for those life journey columns, going, my gosh, the story of my life, the chapter of it, is now preserved for all the generations to come.
That's right.
Then came this invitations that are coming from different spaces. I just came back. I shared this with you about a month ago from speaking in Los Angeles, California, and being branded under the United States of Women. United States of Women is one of the biggest women empowerment movement summit, headed by the biggest influencers. And next thing you know, I'm looking at former First Lady Michelle Obama speaking on stage, and and founder of Me Too movement Tamara Burke and Jane Fonda and all those big names. And then more than anything, realizing I'm one of them. I'm looking at my speaker badge going, oh my goodness, I'm one of them.
You
And,
are?
and then, so next week, this leads to my journey. Next week, I'll be sharing the stage with Les Brown,
Mm.
here in Tampa, Florida.
Yeah, that is phenomenal.
And there's more names that, that are coming. And there's, again, coming into space, face-to-face with Trent Shelton, who himself is another gospel grounded. He doesn't preach much about the Bible. He'll talk about faith, but he has over 7 million followers, quote unquote, just on Facebook alone, where this man's message, just the moment he goes on Facebook Live, there's like 3,000 jumping on board, right?
Wow.
And of all the people in Orlando space, I end up with a world exclusive interview with him. So
I saw that interview too. It was amazing.
Powerful interview.
It was, yeah, very much so.
And just a grounded man of faith himself. So when I look back, Steve, and connect all these dots, people are honestly asking me and calling me. They're like, who's your publicist? I'm like, me. Who's your marketing strategist? Me. Do you have a digital? No. How are you landing? How did you land with the United States of Women? How did you land with Les Brown? How did your book become this? How? Because they want the quick, easy answers.
They do. And what I love about talking with you, because you share a lot of the same things that are part of my belief system, in the sense that you don't have to be big to start. In fact, that mustard seed, as it shared, is one of the smallest seeds that is known. And what, as you shared, just starting where you started, and having that faith that you are moving mountains. And to listen to that, to me, is tremendously moving. And it's
like God doesn't
I'm almost at a loss of words right now.
God does not make mistakes in his design.
No, that's right. He doesn't make
mistakes.
Right.
Yeah. Now, will you have adversities? Yes. But one of the lessons that I have to share is that life is happening for you, not against you or to you. This is the partnership in adversities, goes back to the curiosity of what is the end result of all this.
That's right.
Where's this supposed to go? Why am I being positioned this way? And then looking back at your life history line of going, this feels familiar. I remember what I did the last time. Do I do the same thing, or do I grow from this and not do the same thing anymore? Right?
That's right.
And really, honestly, once you put all of that in alignment and activate, like I said, this mustard seed, just imagine, just look at the physical mustard seed and going, is my faith that small, that all it took was I have to have that faith that small to move this big mountains? When you really look at that and analyze that inwardly, of going, here I am, you may be going to Sunday or Saturday church every week and think you have the faith, until adversity smacks you right in the bottom, pulls the rug underneath you, and you lose everything. And then you see the value of even what I call a lifeline called the mustard seed. Because when we look at the big names, the Robin Williams, the Anthony Bourdain's, that had everything going for them on a superficial basis.
And I think that's key, on a superficial basis, because we saw, as somebody says, we've seen the highlight reel of their life, and we haven't seen the day-to-day adversities that they face, the inner adversity, the struggles that they have with so many things that if we heard it, we could probably relate to, but we never hear those. Things.
Well, one of the people that I actually ended up interviewing on the magazine space is Dr. Steve Maraboli. Dr. Steve Maraboli is the most quoted man alive that has 50 to 100 million reader reach. All right, we've become friends. But here's a very interesting thing that he said to me. He was also labeled growing up as a dumb kid. Okay, only to turn around later and become one of the top behavioral scientists in the world. Right. When we talked about this Robin Williams persona, he actually said there's a lot of your high-profile public figures that are going through this. And they've managed to box, what we talked about, box themselves in a corner, right? So to my successful listeners out here, and the celebrities that may be listening to this and high public figure, it is not your fault, because what happens is that you end up being boxed in a corner full of expectations to continue to make these appearances. Mm. And when you have those moments where you just want to be human, the backlash is almost too great.
So you can't be human.
So you can't be human.
Right. Wow.
So therefore, when it becomes too much, that's what usually happens, is that they don't find the outlet for it.
That's some good insight. We've just got a couple minutes left here.
Sure.
I want to promote you as much as I can. I've really enjoyed this time together. But you can find Melody on Facebook as Melody Garcia, on Instagram at Melody Garcia VIP, a very important person. And Twitter at Melody Garcia VIP, and LinkedIn Melody Garcia. And you've got a website now under construction.
Yes,
and,
we are revamping
is there a
it.
link that you can share with that interview that you had mentioned? Is there a link to that?
Which interview? Because I've had several interviews.
Oh, I know. The one that talks, I can't remember his name right now, the one that talks about his faith, but...
yes, Trent Shelton. So what I could do is email, I'll email that over to you, because it was actually uploaded via YouTube, and this was shown globally, via the television space. But I'll be more than happy to send you that link, and you can drop it on your page for the radio station. And also I could shoot over some of the articles that I have written on the influencers, and guess what, folks? They're all human. And that's the beauty of this. That means we are all equally special.
We are.
Some carries more responsibilities than others, but to where you're looking, I am not this big superstar or any of that. All I did was what you can equally do with no cost. It's activating this mustard seed and saying the following words: help me help them, and activate all the gifts you've given me to help me reach them, followed by please show me, guide me, right? Complete control. And then be curious enough, for anybody who's going through depression and suffering, be curious enough to find what the end result is of why this is happening, because you have a big purpose in your life.
I want to end with this. You shared with me your favorite quote.
Yes.
And I absolutely love it. She is a comedian, but this particular quote is priceless.
Can you read it to them? Yeah, no, I sent it to you.
I do, but I don't have it right on me right now. So
it's a quote by Irma Bombeck for those, yes. And she is, let me just pull it while we're listening to this, sure. Which is, again, something that I live with, that basically goes back to that prayer that I said, which goes, when I stand before God at the end of my life, I would hope that I would not have a single bit of talent left and could say, I used everything you gave me.
Excellent. Melody, thank you so very much for being on tonight, and wish you all the best, and we'll definitely connect. I will also run this blurb with all your social media contacts. And again, thank you so much. And,
thank you.
You have a great evening.
You too. Bye-bye.
I can do anything. I can reach any goal today. I can do what I want. I can be what I want to be.
Coach on Fire Radio.